I'm Edward Ottozelke, and let's queer up trans rights. Trevor Project survey finds higher suicide risk among trans youth who are denied hormone care. The report analyzed responses from more than 10,000 trans, non-binary, and genderqueer young people across the United States. According to the findings, 15% of the youth denied hormone access reported attempting suicide within the past year, compared to 8% of those currently receiving hormone treatment. The survey also found that among respondents between the ages of 13 and 17, only 10% reported currently taking hormones, while just 3% said that they were using puberty blockers. Researchers said the findings add to the growing evidence linking restrictions on gender-affirming care to worsen mental health outcomes for transgender youth. The report also highlights concerns about the anti-LGBTQ+ legislation nationwide. Among trans and non-binary youth currently receiving hormones, 87% said that they fear losing access to care. Another 94% said that recent anti-LGBTQ+ laws and political debates have negatively affected their mental health. If you or someone you know is struggling, support is available through the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 988 in the United States. Wow, no one should be afraid of losing their health care, especially, our young people who desperately need it. And it's a fundamental right. I'm just so grateful that we live here, in South Florida, where, we're trying to, protect our youth and, having things like, new schools open to LGBTQ youth and, and really focusing on them. We're trying to make a stab and trying to get them taken care of, but it's so scary for them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the Trevor Project is amazing. Thank you to the Trevor Project for all they do. Their stats are always on point. Thank you to MAC Cosmetics and Mackenzie Scott, who are the biggest backers of the Trevor Project, for all you do. You would think that if a company like the Trevor Project says gender affirming care makes sure that our trans kids stay alive, that would be enough. And it's not. To be a queer kid and to see something like this and say, I'm not cared about, I'm not important enough, to have this. The rhetoric is real. Okay. There are people, I have had conversations with people that really do believe that a drag queen goes into an elementary school and gives a vaccine to a kid and makes them gay. All right. You laugh, but this is what these people think. Okay. These people also think that we're doing, gender surgery on a kid. Okay. That's not happening. Nowhere is that happening,
I mean, we educate ourselves and we definitely, research it, and we're not just willy-nilly, so a kid comes up to you and says, I want to be this, and we're just going to just give it to them. No, this is a lot of time and a lot of process for people. So yeah, it's not so like a switch turning on and off for them.
Yeah.
Edward, your story had a lot of numbers in it.
Yeah.
And each one hurts, but taken as a whole, it's a body blow. And the fact is, one would be too many.
Yeah, absolutely.
1%, one person is too many. And I hate to say this, but anti-trans legislation really started moving in 2021. So we're about 5 years in. And I remember I sat at this table 5 years ago and said, all this stuff that we feel anecdotally, we're going to have scary, disturbing numbers to back it up. And now we're 5 years in and we have quantifiable data that shows this legislation, these policies, this rhetoric is murder. The policies of anti-trans are not pro-parent. They're not pro-kid. They're just murder.
Yeah, and trans rights are human rights.
Right.
When I think of trans people, I think of humanity that they deserve. And I laughed earlier because of all of the rhetoric you mentioned. They were able to successfully weaponize that and put a target on the back of trans people all throughout America. And they literally only see trans people as some sort of radical movement or some sort of political talking point. And these are actual living human beings. We all have trans people in our lives that we care about. And all I want to see is them have the same rights as anybody in this country. And we have so many great organizations locally that we all know that have not only done the work in making sure that they take care of trans people here in South Florida. But the education for those of us who aren't trans, it's very important for us to receive it. And it's very important for those of us who love trans people to be allies and understand what their needs are and how we can speak for them in rooms and at tables that they're not present.
And if we're at tables and in rooms where they're not present, we need to stand up and say, where are they?
Yes, yes.
There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.